Hello, I am Gorgnak, and this is Gorgnak's Redstone tutorial videos. This is going to be the basics part 1. In this one we are going to be covering redstone, redstone inputs, and redstone outputs. So let's get started. So redstone can kind of be thought of as like electricity. When you turn on the input, which is this lever, it powers the output, which is this redstone lamp. And then you have this middle stuff, which is the redstone dust, which is basically your wiring, and this redstone repeater, which is a utility device. But when you turn it on and off, the lamp turns on and off as well. So when it comes to redstone signals, most of the inputs generate a signal at full strength, and full strength goes 15 units, so 15 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See 5. This is 10, and this is 15. You can see the particles coming out of this 15th block, but on the 16th one, you don't have any particles coming out, so it's not powered. And it doesn't matter how strong the signal strength is, outputs get turned on regardless of how strong the signal is. So let's start over here, start looking at our inputs here. So this is a redstone lever. You turn it on, it gives juice out to the the circuit, and when you turn it off, it doesn't. This is a redstone torch, and it basically always stays on. And there are circumstances where you can have an off a redstone torch, but if it's placed by itself, it'll be on and it'll always supply power. This is a redstone block. It does the same thing, except since it's a block, you can put things on top of it. See, you can't put redstone dust on top of that. We have a couple of buttons right here. You push a button, it stays on for a second, and it turns off. The wooden one is a little different in that it just lasts a bit longer. I think it's about 2 seconds. These are pressure plates. These two on the left are the more basic ones. So you step on them, and they provide full signals. And the difference between this stone one and this wooden one is you can throw an item on the wooden one, and it'll turn on. If you throw an item on the stone one, it doesn't turn on, as you can see. And I'll do it again just to show you. So this is a weighted pressure plate, a gold one, and a weighted pressure plate, I believe it's an iron one. If you throw an item on there for the gold one, for each item you throw on, the signal strength goes up by 1. And then when you collect it all, you can do the same thing with a bunch of them, but once the items kind of collect into one group, it drops back down. The iron one is the same thing, except you need 10 for each signal strength. So in order to get the full 150, you need to drop, I think, 150 or 140. Anyway, so let's start here at the beginning of the line. This is a lightning rod. It'll turn on when lightning strikes it. This is a daylight sensor. If there is daylight above and it's high enough, it'll turn on. Sometimes when the sun is setting or rising, it won't have enough juice for it. This funny looking guy with the face on is the observer. It will turn on and off if there is a block moving in front of it. So you can see that it'll turn on briefly and then turn off. It does have some useful functions. I can go into those later. This is a minecart and a detector rail. When the minecart goes over the detector rail, it turns on. I mean, it looks like it's going on a little before it hits the detector rail, and I think that's just because of the angle of the minecart. Anyway, this right here is a target block. When you shoot it with an arrow, or you can even throw a trident at it, it'll turn on. Dropping stuff on it won't do. Also, if you hit the edge or the corner, it won't turn on. You have to get it inside this square right here. In fact, I think even if you hit the edge, it won't turn on. But once you get inside there, it'll turn on. Boom. Alright, this is a skulk sensor. It's your motion sensor. So if I start moving around it, it'll turn on. And it can even detect this minecart that's going up and down. Depending on what object it senses, it'll turn on a varying strength. I don't know the exact mechanics of it. This is a tripwire. As you can guess, once you walk over the tripwire, it turns on the circuit. It'll turn on any redstone that's connected to the hook itself, the block that is connected to. However, the wire itself will not give you any power once you trip the signal. Alright, so those are all the inputs. Alright, so what we got here first is the dispenser and the dropper. The dispenser has the full circle, and then the dropper has this half circle or triangle looking thing. So when you flip the switch on, the dispenser will shoot out whatever's in there if it can be shot out at all. So things like redstone dust wouldn't get shot out. But yes, and it will only activate on the first redstone signal. So if you leave it on, it won't continue to activate. This is a dropper. It does a very similar thing, except it drops the items only. And just like the dispenser, it only activates when the signal is first provided. It does have some useful functions. It can push items into containers, and it can move items upward if you have it pushing into droppers. This right here is a hopper. It is probably one of the most useful items we have. What it does is when you throw items on top of the hopper, it'll collect them. Alright, however, if you provide a redstone signal to them, the hopper will no longer collect anything. So nothing's going down. You turn on the signal, it sucks it right down. Alright, and then hoppers can also move things to the side as well and down, but it can't move things up. That's why you need the dropper to move things up. And so if we take a look here, we have 41 in here, 0 in there. If I turn it on, it'll start collecting what's above it inside the container and moving it down below. And when I flip on the switch, it basically stops. It looks like I had an item in there when I turned it on. These right here are note blocks. You can see the note coming out of it, but due to how my setup is, you won't be able to hear the note actually play. You can tune it by right-clicking it, and that's how you change its note. I believe it covers 2 octaves. Alrighty, stone. Oh, I grabbed the wrong one. Anyway, these are pistons. They basically push items away from them. There's 2 different kinds, the regular and the sticky, and the difference between them is that the regular piston pushes items, and then the sticky piston can pull items back. And so even if the block is one away, it'll pull it right in. I believe the sticky piston is more useful than the regular one, but it all depends on what you're building, really. This is the redstone lamp that I was basically using in the demonstrations earlier. You turn on the signal, and it turns on the lamp. Alright. TNT can also be ignited with a redstone signal. I'm sure you know you can use flint and steel to light it, or other fire sources. But with the redstone signal, it lights, and kaboom! It blows up. It can be very useful for traps, and if you're ever in a desert temple, be careful, because they basically have that pressure plates hooked up to TNT in the bottom of the pit in the middle, and you'll blow up if you step on it. Okay, these are doors, clearly. Wooden ones open and close by right-clicking. Steel ones do not. So you can see I'm kind of aiming instead of opening it. But if you step on the pressure plate right next to it, it'll open and it'll close. If the door is open, when the redstone signal turns on, it'll keep the door open, and it'll close when you step off of it. Same thing with these trap doors. Wooden ones go open, steel ones don't. You step on them. This is a gate, basically the same thing as the door and the trap door. and whatnot. Okie dokie. The next one is these minecart tracks. If you provide a signal to a minecart track that's curved, it will switch over to the other one, provided that there is a path for it to go. These do have a specific set orientation, so I'll show you what I mean. So if I turn it on, it'll stay where it is, and if I turn it off, it'll move to the left. So I don't know exactly how it determines that. I usually just don't worry about it. I use an inverter to fix it if I need to. And then we have the powered minecart rails. What these do is they quite simply just allow minecarts to keep going and going and going, provided there's enough of them. Some minecarts, like an empty minecart, doesn't travel very far, as opposed to a chest with a minecart, which travels farther. And I believe if you have a person in there, it goes farther. Anyway, and then if these are off, they can sometimes act, they usually act as brakes. I don't know what happened that first go around, but it was weird. Anyway, so this is an activator rail. What it does is it activates the minecart's function if it has one. So if I turn this on, right now this is off, so the minecart hopper should take the items from above the block, and it does, like it should. Okie dokie. Let's turn you off. Anyway, I will throw these torches on top, and when I turn it on and push, it doesn't pick it up, just like how the powered minecart or the powered hopper doesn't pull items into it. This with the activator rail won't have the hopper minecart pull items into it either. However, if I turn it off, it should suck it right back up. I don't know the entire functions of this activator rail, but I do know one other thing you can use for it, which is TNT. Maybe I should turn it on. That would help, wouldn't it? However, I don't want to blow up my demo, so I'm going to go ahead and destroy this. Yeah. And that's it for your basic inputs and outputs. I will be going over some other things in part 2, so thank you for watching.